Hi, I'm Anne from Game Like a Mother. Today I'm going to show you how to play Rollers Deluxe by USAopoly. It's ages 8 and up, 2 to 6 players, and it takes about 20 minutes to play, but it can vary depending on how many players you have. So let me show you how it works. The goal of the game is to be the first to get 5 points across the top here, and you do that over multiple rounds of play. On a round of play, points are awarded for the first to fill in their entire board full of all of the numbers, or the person who gets the most chips at the end also is awarded a point. To start, this is a 2-player game. Each player would get a die and roll it, and whoever gets the higher roll gets to go first, and then play would proceed clockwise from there. On your turn, you have 6 dice that you get to roll. You roll your dice, and from that roll, you get to reserve a few of the dice and then roll the remaining ones again. See if you want to keep any or none, or you can also choose to re-roll some of the ones you have set aside if you so desire. And then on your third roll, you can't roll anymore, and your turn is over, and at this point you get to fill in your board depending on what you have rolled. There are a few specialty dice to know about. There are stars on all of the green die. There's a star you can roll which operates as a wild, so instead of a 6 there's a star. And on red there's a lightning strike, and if you roll a lightning strike on any roll, the dice that you've rolled on that turn do not count. So if you rolled, your first roll was this and you got the lightning, then none of this counts and you have to re-roll all of it. If you set off your lucky ones over here and you're just re-rolling these ones and a lightning bolt comes up, then these are safe, you get to use them, but these are, you can't use any of those dice. And if it happens on the third turn, so you have this from a different turn, and it's your third turn and you roll, and you hadn't gotten lightning bolts before, so these were fine, you could save these. And on your third turn, you get a lightning bolt with your last remaining. You can't use any of these dice, and you can only use these dice to fill in here. So I'm going to move things around a little bit to show you some options for what you can do. We'll just go with this. So if, we'll say there wasn't a lightning bolt on this one, and how you fill in your board is you start from the top part where it says open, and you have to fill those in first. You have to fill them in at the same time. So you can use this 3 with these 2 stars to fill in this top part, because you have to get 3 3s at the same time to fill in the open. So it gets progressively more difficult up to 5s. And then if you had another 3, you could close it, which matters for closing out your board and matters for collecting chips, which is very important. You can do multiple spots if applicable on a turn. This single one can be used to be marked off here. A single 5, you can't just mark that off. You have to get those at the same time, and 1 2 doesn't do you any good. So this player's turn would be done, and play would progress to this player. Okay, so I'm going to doctor up the dice a little bit for this person's turn. Say they roll once and something lovely happens, like this. They're very happy. They can stop here. You do not have to keep on rolling. If you get an awesome roll on your first or second try, you can stop at any point. So here, they're probably going to want to use all of these as 4s, all these wilds. So they've got these 4. Sometimes, just for simplicity's sake, we'll put them right by where we're going to mark it off to make it clear for ourselves and for others. So they can fill in this spot because they got that in 1 turn. They can close it off. And now the fun part of the game starts with this extra star. They can do whatever they want with this. If you wanted, they could put one over here. But what's fun to do, and a way to earn extra points at the end, is the value of the dice after this is closed, if the other person's side is open for that number, which includes the 3 at this point. If they had filled in all of the 3s, it includes that. They filled in the 4, so they're making this be a 4. They get 4 chips from this person. So we're going to be speedy quick and grab a 5 and give them change. And that's a really fun part of this game. You can get a lot of chips from people if they can't close one of the big ones, and you keep on getting money from them. So their turn is over. It's back to this person's turn after that. Let us skip ahead a little bit. It is this player's turn. We're saying that he's just had a really tough time, and this player just probably has rolled a ton of 4s and took all of his money. And at this point, this is his roll. And if you run out of all of your chips, which does not happen often in a 2-player game, but it is much more common with more players in play, at that point, you cannot take any chips from other players, even if you could. So this player could choose with this, the roll that he's got a very good roll here, with the 5, he could choose to close this out, and in theory, he could use this star as a 5 and get 5 chips from this guy, but he's out of chips, so he's not allowed to do that, so there's no point. So he's going to use this as the 4s and the star to close out the 4s. And look, he's so close to finishing. We'll scooch over here and say, oh, he rolled. This would be not too bad to finish out. So let's just say, okay, he finished it off. And at this point, how the scoring works is whoever closes out their whole board and fills it in like this, they get 2 points, and you just put them up here for that. Also, whoever has the most chips at the end, this very clearly is this player, you get a point for that. So you can get all of the points. Sometimes one person closes out first, but this person had just a few more chips, and so you'd be able to get a point for that. The points can be spread around. Also, if this person had been able to close out first, but they didn't have any chips, for that you only get 1 point. So it is a bit of a bummer if you run out of chips. You get 1 point for finishing, even though you finished first. And then, so if that was the case, and he had finished first, he would get a point. So this was full first, and he hadn't finished his. And this guy has way more chips, and he would get a 1 point. So just 1 to 1. At this point, the game is not over. You clear your board and put everything back, and everybody starts with the same amount of chips, which is 10 of the 5s and 5 of the 1s to start. And clear everything off and move the dice clockwise, and that person gets to start, and play proceeds. You continue until someone has 5 points. If there is a tie, and this guy was right here, and he, after a few rounds of play, was right here, and this guy finished first on that round, so he got 2, but simultaneously at the end, this guy had more chips, and so he finished. They both got to 5 points at the same time. Whoever had more chips that final round would be the winner, which would be this side. If he had the most chips, and that's what he got his point for, and he got to 5 at the same time, he's the winner. So that's how to play Rollers Deluxe. If you like family dice games like Yahtzee or Yam Slam, this is a great option for you, and you should check it out. Thanks, and see you next time from Game Like a Mother.